where in the hell will Deshaun Watson end up? And with limited communication between the Texans and Deshaun, it seems to be spiraling out of control. The Texans have dug their feet deeper into the ground, with Nick Caserio coming out and saying, "We will not trade the player." In response, Deshaun Watson has also dug his feet deeper in. He's taken off all connections to Houston or the Texans in every way, besides a couple pictures on his Instagram. But Deshaun Watson has made it known he wants out of Houston. And like James Harden, Deshaun Watson is going to get the hell out of Houston. At his inaugural address, the first time addressing the media as the GM of the Texans, Nick Caserio said they will not be trading the player. And since that press conference, they've been dropping bombs to their reporter friends about what it will take for teams to get into the conversation for Deshaun. So they definitely are sending mixed messages, but they definitely do need to prepare themselves for the inevitable. But they've been dropping bombs with quotes coming out like 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and 2 stars, or 2 defensive starters, a top 10 pick, and even more, just to start the trade talks. And you could see how fans of teams who are in rumored talks with the Texans are flipping out. But panic not. This trade will not be that extreme. This is just a good example of how teams and GMs are playing the game. Caserio and the Texans know they aren't in a good spot. And when their 2 options are keeping a man who clearly doesn't want to be there in Deshaun Watson as their starting quarterback, or take a trade from a team for significantly less value than Watson's worth, the Texans are doing everything to dig themselves out of this hole. And I think all these statements are a fugazi. It's a fake out to get their offers for their star quarterback through the roof. A lot of the media, including Brett Favre, which now he is media, has written off a trade saying Deshaun needs to figure it out, stay put. He's been paid so much money. He shouldn't have any complaints. He's being paid too much money to even voice his opinions, which is wild coming from a guy who threatened to retire about 5 times before he actually retired, came back, and did all these things just to get his way, just to get the Packers to fold to their star quarterback. Deshaun Watson's doing, in my opinion, I think everything right. The team disrespected him coming off a 4-12 season, and they're not making the moves required to take the Texans to the next step. I mean, you've heard players all season. There was a coup basically to overthrow the coach led by J.J. Watt. They're just not happy with the organization, and it's completely understandable. He has a perfect example of what could happen in a career, just seeing Matt Stafford, a guy in his division, move on from a team after 11 years, a team that couldn't figure it out, a team that couldn't build around a quarterback who's been in and out of the top 10 the entire time he's played. And Deshaun Watson just doesn't want to be that guy. There's also talks that his contract is tough to move. We've seen tougher contracts move, and that teams aren't going to put in the offers that the Texans are looking for. And I think that's nonsense. Deshaun Watson is worth more to any team than what the actual trade's going to take to get him, because no matter how much Caserio says they will not trade Deshaun Watson will not be a Texan next year. There are some fair criticisms of Deshaun, him making his decision to want to be traded public without handling his business behind the scenes. Definitely significantly lowers his trade value, which is definitely and will put the Texans in a tough spot when they do have to eventually move on from him. But J.J. Watt is definitely right when he says they wasted another year of Deshaun's career. So knowing that they do have to get rid of him this offseason, we're going to look at some destinations that he could potentially go to. And my number one landing spot for Deshaun would be the Broncos, the Denver Broncos. They got a plethora of weapons all over the field. Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant. They were in trade talks with the Lions for Stafford. They're definitely looking for a guy. I guess Drew Lock is not the answer. No surprise there. But Deshaun is an upgrade for pretty much every team but, 8, 9 teams. The second team who we could potentially go to are the 49ers. The Niners Also talked to the Lions. They never made an official offer. They planned on making another offer after the weekend, but Stafford was gone before they could even pick up the phone again. They have made statements since that they never got super serious about making this move because they are comfortable going forward with Jimmy Garoppolo. But they do have the 12th pick in the draft this season, and that is a very valuable piece that I think the Texans would definitely be interested in so they could pick up their new guy. If they give him Jimmy G, maybe the Texans would ride with him for a little bit. I mean, they're not a playoff team, and they're not probably going to be next year. So either way, they might wait a year or two out with Jimmy G if this trade does go through, and then try and find their guy through the draft or through free agency again. His third potential destination is the Washington football team, with all of the drama that has gone on in the quarterback room of the WFT this year, including them having to cut their first round pick in Dwayne Haskins, their quarterback, who absolutely is a beast, coming back. He's never supposed to walk again, leading their team to the playoffs. I think they had about 4 or 5 different starters throughout the season. So they definitely need to figure it out. I don't think Alex Smith will be coming back. And this would be a great landing spot for DESHAUN. The fourth spot, the fourth potential, which was the hottest name in the beginning of this potential trade for the ages, this blockbuster, the New York Football Jets, with a new head coach looking to move forward, progress the Jets into a new era of Jets football. Adding Deshaun Watson at 25 years old is the perfect solution for the New York Jets, and I think they'd be crazy not to make this move. And I am a Sammy D guy, but when you're comparing Sammy D and Deshaun Watson, there's really no comparison. There's nothing to talk about. Make the trade and move on with your life. There are concerns that the Jets would kind of have to trade away everything they've built and their future, like all of their draft picks, first rounders, second rounders for the next 2-3 years, which would deplete them. But adding Deshaun Watson to the roster that they currently have, aside from a player or two that's traded, could be the next step that the Jets need to take. But if they don't make this move, I do think it is a good idea not to draft a quarterback, to pick a position player, a skill player, someone who is going to help Sammy D out, give him another option, and let him run it back for another year, give him another chance. He hasn't really had any stability in the locker room. He hasn't had the pieces around him to move him forward. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I just think he's been in a bad spot. So the draft is not where the Jets are going to find their franchise QB, and he might just be on their team already. But we'll see moving forward what happens. And the last team that I want to talk about is the Miami Dolphins, and this would be a crazy trade with Tua Tagovailoa, the starter down there, a potential franchise guy. He didn't live up as much to the hype around him, but he still played solid all season. It would still be an upgrade for the Dolphins from Tua to Deshaun, and a minor downgrade for the Texans themselves. But compared to all the other trade offers they could get with Drew Lock or Jimmy G, no one out of the Washington football team or Sam Darnold, this is definitely their best option for what they're going to be receiving back. An unrealistic option, but something that would be unbelievable if it happened. If the Jaguars just offered the number 1 pick for Deshaun, the Jags will get their guy, their 25-year-old starter, their young buck who's going to lead them into the future, and the Texans will get Trevor Lawrence, resetting their quarterback market, only having to pay him the rookie salary, and would really be, I think, the best solution to this problem. They might want a little bit more than just the number 1 overall pick, but if Trevor Lawrence is anywhere near as good as he is hyped up to be, if he's able to produce at the level that he has in college in the NFL, you might see the Texans in the Super Bowl next year. So I'll be on the lookout, scouring the internet, trying to find all the information I could find on Deshaun Watson and the Texans, every quote they make, every move they make in the offseason. And we'll be seeing where the hell Deshaun Watson will end up, but it might take some time. But if this was a bet, Sergeant Pepper's pick would be that Deshaun Watson is no longer a Texan next year.